Hi, welcome to the webinar on effective communication strategies for enabling solid waste management activities at the municipal level. We have today with us Dr. Pradipta Ghosh. Dr. Ghosh is involved in research and teaching at the interface of science, economics, policy, and public policy, philosophy and public policy. Currently, he is Distinguished Fellow at TERI. He's also adjunct faculty at Carnegie Mellon University, Pittsburgh, TERI University, and a visiting fellow at Smith College, Oxford. He was a member of the IAS from 1969 to 2007, when he retired as Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forests. He has also held positions of Economic Advisor, Additional Secretary to PM, and Senior Environment Specialist at the Asian Development Bank, Manila. He was a member of India's negotiating team at UNFCCC climate change negotiations from 2001 to 2012. He has a PhD and MPhil in economics and policy analysis from Carnegie Mellon and a BTech in chemical engineering from IIT Delhi and has received alumni achievement awards from both these institutions. I hand over to you, Dr. Ghosh, to take us through. Thank you for being here with us. And just for the participants, we will reserve the questions for after the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shivani, and good afternoon to all of you from TERI in New Delhi. And we have a 1-hour webinar on effective communication strategies for enabling solid waste management activities. And so I have a brief presentation. We will go through the presentation, and after that we would invite your questions and comments. And I have with me Shivani and Rajshri. Rajshri is from our communications division and Shivani is from our solid waste management division, who will also field some of your comments and questions. So first to the presentation. Municipal solid waste rules were notified in 2016 after a gap of 10 years, and they outline specific roles and responsibilities for the waste generators and urban local bodies. The rules specify creating public awareness through information, education, and awareness campaigns to educate the waste generator on not littering, minimizing waste generation and reuse of waste, and segregation of waste and composting. But there are a number of challenges which are faced by the municipalities which have to implement these solid waste management rules. For example, there is the well-known phenomenon of NIMBY, not in my backyard. There is a political counterpart to this, NIMTO, for politicians who want to get re-elected, and it reads as not in my term of office. And this attitude is a deterrent in changing the existing waste disposal practices and also to setting up of waste processing facilities. And implementation of segregation at source into biodegradable, non-biodegradable. This is another challenge faced by the municipalities. Waste burning. This is a very important contributor to urban air pollution. And urban waste and leaves, their burning is another issue that corporations have to deal with, because workers find it easier to burn them instead of transporting the waste to the Thalau or burying the leaves in the ground respectively. There's another problem of land use. Now, for example, the city of Delhi, it generates 9,620 tons of municipal solid waste per day on average. And establishing decentralized waste processing plants cannot be a feasible solution. On the other hand, centralized plants require a large capital investment, and waste has to be transported over large distances to the centralized plants. And so there is always a challenge of setting up an optimal mix of centralized and decentralized waste processing plants to tackle the problem. Littering, people dropping plastic bags, cigarette butts, and so on. This is another issue that cities and villages in India have to deal with. Now let's look at the hierarchy of waste-related issues. Now, communication is imperative for implementation of the solid waste management rules among the stakeholders. And the stakeholders include waste generators and waste collectors. There are also issues of waste reduction, of reuse of waste, and of recycling of discarded materials. There are also waste collectors, and these include garbage collectors, kabadiwalas, who come from door to door to collect various kinds of waste, essentially recyclable waste, and rag pickers, who pick out potentially recyclable waste from the community dhalao or community bin. Now, who are the stakeholders involved? So, if we look at waste generators, they include the RWAs, the Resident Welfare Associations, and Market Traders Associations. They include street vendors, retailers and wholesalers, commercial establishments such as malls, restaurants, offices, pandals, community centers, institutions such as schools and colleges, and other areas of public gathering. Now we come to the question of implementation of the communication strategy. So first is the important problem of target group definition. We have to identify which are the groups among the stakeholders in which particular communication efforts are to be directed. And this would enable proper direction of actions and initiatives. We have to understand what the starting point is. So we have to catch hold of the stakeholders right at the beginning, that is the households, and thereafter ensure that the entire chain is addressed. We have to inform the media, inform the audience, and this includes what is the appropriate media for that particular audience, what is the language of communication. We have to involve the audience. They are not going to be passive listeners to anything that we have to say. They would have something to say on for their part. And so we have to provide for effective feedback. Then we come to the question of what is the content of the messaging. The brochures and in any case, any kind of media products cannot be verbose. You cannot write them in archaic language. You cannot use a language with which your target audience is unfamiliar. So you have to use simple language, and you have to use the vernacular language with which your target audience is familiar. Then there are various media outlets, for example, posters, radio talks, advertisements on billboards and buses, TV advertisements, as well as TV programs, and so on. So let's look at some of the types of messages by activity and target group. For example, for waste burning, the target audience would comprise the sweepers, the municipal sweepers. And the focus of the message should be process of burying the weeds, for example, and transporting the waste to the dhalaus and to associated laws. When it comes to segregation, the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 provide for 2 years for implementation of this particular activity. The target audience are households. The focus of the message should be information on the rules and the process and benefits of segregation. And for example, we have the Pune Swachh Cooperative, which has done very commendable work in this area. We also have the target audience, which are garbage collectors for segregation. And the focus of the message should be on constituents of dry and wet waste and emphasizing segregated collection of the waste. So remaining with segregation, the target audience also includes institutions such as schools, and within schools we have eco clubs. The content of the message could be on information on the responsibilities of waste generators, and they could in turn be involved to generate awareness. Another target audience are the resident welfare associations. They could act as a medium of dissemination of rules and for monitoring, and the content of the message should be the provisions of the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 and the process of segregation. Now, when it comes to decentralized composting, the target audience would include RWAs, resident welfare associations, and the focus of the message should be successful examples of community involvement, such as Pune, and then they would also need to have a list of decentralized compost machine manufacturers. Now we come to the question of recycling, and setting up a system of collection is imperative, and the target audience includes RWAs and market trade associations and relevant institutions. And the content of the message would be on recyclable items and information on the system such as drop-off points and schedules of pickup. Now, how do we finance IC campaigns? They don't come cheap. But the Swachh Bharat mission, for example, has funds available for generating awareness. And a total of 15% of the total central government allocation is earmarked for awareness campaigns. Of this 15%, 12% is to be earmarked for states to undertake massive public awareness campaigns on sanitation through various means including radio, social media, documentaries, plays, workshops and so on. And states are required to prepare an annual action plan with details of state funding commitment for public awareness and information, education and communication, and the state HPC, High-Level Policy Committee, shall approve it. At least 50% of the IEC fund as approved by state HPC must go to the ULBs for IEC activities at the grassroots level. The ULBs or urban local bodies shall be competent to spend the minimum 50% part of the ULB level funds as per approved plan. Under no circumstances is this fund to be utilized for purchase of vehicles, construction, maintenance of buildings, creation of posts and payment of salary, purchase of furniture and fixtures and so on. In other words, the money has to be spent on IC campaigns and not on frivolous expenditures. And states have to contribute a minimum of 25% funds towards IC and public awareness to match the 75% central share. And in the case of Northeast states, they may contribute 10%, Northeast states and special category states, in each annual plan. So that's it. And so the floor is open, the webinar is open for comments.